Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cat's Track. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing this with your friends. Today's episode is with my friend, Robert Schmidt. Robert was born in the big, bustling community of Camrose, Alberta, home of the Big Valley Jamboree, which I've been to and I love. He tells me that his loved ones are pretty amazing people to put up with this craziness. Do I relate? Besides his loved ones, Robert is passionate about helping people work on being better tomorrow than today. This applies to their organization and or to themselves. I met Robert when he was speaking at a tech luncheon, and he was presenting on the blue ocean strategies. It was many moons ago, and I was instantly impressed. I walked up to him and said, "I'm so impressed. Will you be my friend?" And here we are this many years later. I'm so blessed. Robert, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. And thank you for those many years ago when you came up to me and introduced yourself to be friends. It is my honor. So
it is mine. Are you ready for the questions we sent you?
By all means.
Excellent. I'm excited to hear what you have to say. Why do you do what you do in the world of work?
There's three reasons why we do what we do here. So as a brand distillery where we get to the essence of who an organization is and then help them package it and tell their brand story, the reason we do what we do starts off first and foremost because it's desperately needed. So even though most people, started speaking somewhere around 18 months of age and they've been doing it for a long time, communications and perception is much more involved than just being able to speak. So it's a desperately needed area that we play in. Number two, the value of what we do is increasing as people become more skeptical over time and there's more messages bombarding them every single day. People want to know who they're dealing with, why they're dealing with them, and what that organization stands for. So value is the second part. And then the third reason I do what I do is it's actually challenging, and I'm always up for a good challenge.
Yes, you are. I've seen it many, many times. Well done. Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome.
How about the top three things that you want to share with us today?
The top three things. So again, as a brand distillery, where even myself as the person who looks after distilling it, I always focus on the person or the organization. So for your audience, I'm going to tailor my message around their own personal brand and who they are. Number one, be you. There's no one else who can be you better than you. Don't try and be someone else. Be you. Good, bad, or indifferent. Number two, be real. So look at who you are and the real you, not the pretend you. Don't do what your grade 5 teacher did, where they said, we need to improve on this. Now, forget the improvement stuff. Do what you're great at and be real about that. And that leads to the third part, which is be proud. If you're you and you're real, then be proud of who you are, because there is a place in the world for you that no one else can fill other than you.
Oh my gosh, I love that advice. You're
You.
so absolutely true. We can see through when someone's not being authentic to themselves. And isn't it true that we always, when we put ourselves out there in an authentic way, the ones that are meant for us will come our way. They're the ones that we want in our circle anyway.
100%. And it's again, if you look at friendships and such, I once heard that friendships can be for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And it doesn't matter if someone came into your life for a certain time period and then left. That's okay. There was a reason they were there at that point. And that goes back to, if we can embrace who we are individually or as an organization, embrace who you are, there are people out there that are waiting for the real you, not a whole bunch of pretend versions of who we think we should be.
Let me ask you one more question, Robert, about that.
By all means.
I have a young person in my life, happens to be one of my nieces, who's amazing. Mm-hmm. All of them are amazing. Of course, I'm a little biased.
Yes.
She's going through a time in her life, and I'd love your advice because you've got children and you certainly understand personal branding and how life works this way. She's going through a time where she is feeling very lonely because she had a bunch of friends. They've moved on. She's moved on, and she doesn't see where this is going. She's feeling very sad.
Right.
What kind of advice would you give to a young person that is changing their address book?
Great question. And that's something that, as you said, I have children. I have two daughters. One is 20 and one is 17, graduated from high school, stepping out into that next stage and chapter of life. What we've said with her is the same advice I'd give to your niece, which is, again, be you. And if you present you in the way that's authentic and real, people that are attracted to that will find you as well. So stay active. Don't be disappointed by the relationships you've had in the past. Celebrate those. Those were great times. They served a great purpose at that time. But the fact that you're going on to another chapter helps you realize how many people in this world exist and how many you need to cross paths with. Now, I'm not talking a numbers game. I'm talking a values game so that you can try and find those people. So for her, if she can turn it around so that she's excited about who she gets to meet, as opposed to being sad about who she no longer meets, might help her with what she does every single day.
I love it. I knew you'd have good advice. Thank you. I'm going to share this with her.
By all means.
Tribe. It's like a new tribe.
It is. That's exactly what it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the last piece with opportunity on the horizon, new frontier. What do you see? What's the crystal ball?
Yeah, we actually found 2020 turned out to be quite a good year for us. Awesome. After we had to pivot, after we had to shake things up a bit, it turned out to be quite a good year. In 2021, we're getting pulled into more partnership roles. So as opposed to transactional activities, can you help us distill our brand? Can you refresh and rebrand our organization? We're getting clients coming up to us going, would you be able to sit in that chief marketing officer chair and bring your team with you? So we've actually brought a fair amount of what I might look at as turnkey marketing team and brand team. So we're getting pulled in that direction, and that's taking us south of the border, even though the border's closed, as well as deeper into some larger organizations here in Canada.
Well done. I'm so proud of you and your team. How big is your team now, Robert?
So we've got half a dozen people that we count on at any given moment, but we've got a fairly large extended team that we need to reach into. If we're doing video production, we have different individuals and organizations that we'll bring to the table that will help co-produce what we're trying to create without us ever having to own the video equipment or have cinematographers on staff. So we use a Hollywood model of a very small core team that distills the brand and then acts as custodians of that brand. And we oversee everything our clients ever do as it relates to their brand, again, as a member of their team.
That's awesome. Do you mind telling us a little bit about the studio that you're building and what you plan to use it for?
Yeah, by all means. So the studio we're actually creating is to go along with a podcast that we launched last year. So Kevin, one of my senior designers, great member of our team, he came to the table with an idea that said, Rob, maybe we should start doing something on this podcast side of the house. We've got a lot of stuff people want to hear from us, a lot of value we can bring them. Let's do this. So we launched a podcast called Kill the Ad Man. And it talks about how you can generate value in a brand for organizations, mostly in the business to business space, which is an area that seldom is brand talked about. We launched it in a 6-month trial, and it's been quite successful. Now, what we've heard is some people have come back to us and said, we'd love to see a video of it, record it live. And then if we need to scrub out the audio to turn into a podcast, that's fine. But there's something about what you and I are doing now, and Kat, on your Cat track, what you're doing is great because you're letting people into your life of a real human talking to other real humans about a variety of topics. And as people, we're social creatures. We want to be part of that, not necessarily just listen to it while I'm in the car.
Yeah.
So that's the reason for the studio, is so we can have that video production going on.
I love it. Will there be opportunity to be live on some of those as well? Or will that be recorded and then?
So we're going to start off with recording it and then allowing it for a pull of the market. So they can download, they can listen on their time at 2 a.m. But we're going to see how it goes throughout the year. And if we hear people wanting to participate as part of a live session, then we'll consider doing that. We'll consider rolling it into a live session so that, people can weigh in with questions. We'll have a moderator who can do that, but we're not there yet.
That's very exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing that next step and being revealed.
Me too.
Robert, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time and expertise.
It's been my pleasure.
That was Robert Schmidt. Everyone, check out their great work and check out the podcast and what's coming through their videographer and all of the setup. Check them out. Thanks so much for joining us on Cat's Track, and we'll see you next time.